This is a brief overview of my unit converter HTML and JavaScript program. So the goal of this program was to make a unit converter that can convert between a few select units in a few different unit types, such as area, mass, length, and volume. So within these four unit types, there are different units. In area, there's square kilometers all the way down to acres. Mass has all of these different units. The length includes a few different length units, and the volume has its units as well. So in the HTML of this, I've got the unit converter header, and then this select is this drop down right here that is the unit type, and then I have the top, which is the input box right here, and the unit selector, and then the bottom. They are almost identical because they both have the drop down and the unit input box. Within each of the drop downs, each of the units has its own class. So all of the area units have the area class so that the JavaScript can select them by their class. So when this page loads, it loads the CSS, but it also loads the script at the end so that its functions execute after the page is loaded. So the page starts this way with area as the unit that is selected, and therefore the area units available. But you can change them, and then those units change as well. So it starts that way because of this function hide unwanted units that is run right at the end. At the beginning, defining that function, it lets a variable called toUnhide equal all of the elements that have the value in this selector, which is area. And so this runs every time this is changed. So if there is anything that needs to be unhidden, then it unhides those things. For every unit or every option in the list of elements to unhide, remove the hidden class from that item. I have a style.css that is very simple. All the hidden class does is set the display value to none so that it doesn't display. So for every thing to unhide, remove the hidden trait. So when I select, so right now, all of the mass, length, and volume options are hidden. So if I select mass, it unhides all of the mass ones. And then later in that function, it hides the rest of them. So there's a variable called notThisClass that it takes this list, which are the four possible classes, and removes the value that is selected in here. So it will take, like if I select area, it will take this list, remove area from it, so it is just mass, length, and volume. And then for every class in that list of mass, length, and volume, in this case, it sets a variable called toHide that is a list of all of the elements with that class name. So the first one it will iterate through is mass. So all of the ones that are toHide are all of the items with the class name of mass. Then the unit itself is the individual item with the class name of mass. So first it selects all of these, then it iterates through each of them individually. and it takes that unit and adds hidden to its class list, which will remove it from this dropdown. Then the unit selectors. This gets the elements with the class unit selector, which are these two items, the top unit selector and the bottom unit selector, which are these two items, these two dropdowns. It takes those and it sets their value equal to nothing, so that I couldn't have mass, select metric ton, and then hit area and convert it to a square mile, because that doesn't make any sense. So it just clears the content of those two boxes when this is reselected. It also clears the content of these two boxes. So if this is 5, then it clears that, so it is blank. That is the hide unwanted units function. And then it is activated every time the type selector, which is the name of this box, is changed. So it has an event listener every time it's changed. It takes that function and hides the unwanted units. Then I have this massive dictionary that is essentially the conversion table. So 1 square kilometer is equal to 1,000 square meters is equal to a lot of 1.5 billion square inches. And then these are the mass and the length and the volume ones as well, and they live in that unit dictionary. So now comes the actual conversion. So if I select mass and I want to convert a kilogram to a gram, when I type 5, it converts that. So 5 kilograms is 5,000 grams. The way it does that is it has a converted value, which parses a float of this top input value. So it takes this, which is technically a string, converts it to a float, divides it by the value that matches this unit in the dictionary. So it will take 5 kilograms, so it'll take kilogram, divide it by 1,000, and then it will come over here and multiply it by the bottom one. So 5 divided by 1,000 multiplied by 1 million is 5,000. So that's how it gets that value. And then that is activated every time the top input is edited. So every time this number changes, it will edit that value. And then the bottom input does essentially the exact same thing, but in reverse. So every time this is edited, that value will change. And then the same two functions happen when these fields are selected. So if I want to convert 523 grams to imperial tons, then it selects, or it takes this value and converts it to that one in that same way. But then if I want to convert this many imperial tons to pounds, then it will convert that as well. So every time either one of these is changed, or either one of these is changed, the conversion will happen in the opposite field. And then this very last line just executes when the page loads, and when the page loads by default, it will look like this. It will have area, and none of these will be selected. But the reason that this has to run is because when the page loads, all of these options are available. And so you could select square kilometer in the top one and stone, stone in the bottom one, and that obviously would not be good. So this line just hides the unwanted units for everything except area, because that is the default value. So that's a brief overview of my JavaScript and HTML unit converter. Not very complicated, but it's a project. Thanks.